What's going on, family? We got a special guest tonight. My man Farrah. What's going on? Welcome to the pod. We got Leaf Scales. He's a permit, so it is what it is. Welcome tonight. What's going on, fellas?
All is blessed, man.
It's all good. Another night, another night.
Hey, absolutely, man. This is what I always look forward to, man. It's our opportunity to kind of like release, unwind, and kind of talk about things we think about, feel about. Have you got a chance to check out some other episodes to kind of catch the vibe of how we do things?
I have not. I have not, but I'm a ride the wave.
Oh, okay. Well, let's ride it then.
Yep.
So tonight we're going to dig into parenting our teenagers. It's teen parenting, and it's a hard thing. It's definitely a challenge, and it might be one of the hardest, challenging times of our parenting stage. It's not cute, it's not fun, it's not first steps, it's not say dada, it's not none of that. It's a whole different wave where these kids are man. And my man Fire here, he got a lot of experience in it, and I would say from the outside looking in, has been quite successful. In the stages of it, even being a stepfather and a real father in the whole journey. Um, I know I personally I have a 16-year-old turning 17, and I have another I have 13 turning 14. Leaford, he has a young teenage daughter, kind of going through the wave. You know what I mean? So I appreciate you having the time to jump on and share some of your jewels. And so how we kind of do things, like we ask a question, everybody gets a spin, and we elaborate and collab or whatever. You know what I mean? And this is our space. This is a man's space to kind of say what and how we need to say things. You understand?
Bet it. Let's do it.
How you feel, Leafer? You good?
Yeah, all good over here, man. Just adjusting my visual quality.
Okay. What's up, Hit? What's going on?
What's happening?
Man,
What's good?
So this is my man Fire. We gonna call him that for now, because that's what he came in as, And I just kind of gave him his intro. He has a lot of experience in raising teenagers. Yeah. I would say. I think all his kids are teenagers and above at this point. You know what I mean? So male and female alike. So I'm interested in his perspective, man, and and it's well appreciated. So let's get into the first question, right? So first question, how are you as a teen compared to your teenagers that you've raised? Who wants to go first?
Wow. They all going to jump at once, huh? So you the guest. Let the guest set it off. All right. So that's a good question, man. You got me going back down memory lane in my dome. Like, I had so much freedom, and in my mind, I had too much freedom. My mom was a single mom. She worked all the time, so I had to grow up quick. And so without that constant, persistent male energy in the house, I had to be a self-starter. And I knew there were real consequences to my decisions, and I had to look after my little brother. So I think I would say first, number one, like mature and independent. Like, I still did dumb stuff, but I was mature and independent. And in my reflection, I thought that I had way too much independence. And so I wanted to create more structure, more discipline, more expectations for my kids to steer them on the right direction. So I think because I did things because I had to, not because I necessarily wanted to. And I think that my idea was to give them all the stuff that I didn't get, of course. And of course, there's resistance with that. So they're drastically different than how I was as a teen, and my wife as well. We always talk about it like, man, they just not ready for life. They're not ready for life. And I sometimes, beat myself up about that by not giving them more rope. But to your point earlier about this generation, man, like they couldn't afford the consequential cost of screwing up so royally that they couldn't come back from it. So we're real conservative, man. People would say we strict, especially for this generation. I'll pause right there.
So I would kind of agree to that, right? So like I grew up with way too much freedom. I wouldn't say it was way too much, only because I knew not to get in over my head. I got in a lot of trouble for little things young. You know what I mean? So like me going to Schumann Center as a 12-year-old, it kind of changes how you function as a 16-year-old. Because Schumann Center as a 12-year-old, you're in there with 16, 17, 18-year-olds, and they tell you boot camp is next, this is next. Oh, this is I'm like, I ain't going to that. When I got a chance to go back to regular like public school and play ball again, I'm not messing it up for nobody. So I think my mom kind of understood that. If I was to ask her why she let me have so much freedom, I had way too much freedom. Like she would page me on a Wednesday night and be like, "Hey, are you coming home?" Like, and I'm like, "Nah, I'm gonna stay over here. I'm gonna go to school from here." But I never missed school because I had to
Wow.
earn it. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? I had to earn high school. It wasn't given to me. So I knew not to go over and over my head. And by that time, it was just all about fun. Like I might have been in things I wasn't supposed to be, like chasing women, chasing girls at that age, but it wasn't to a point where like I was going to ruin my future. And I know Leifer can kind of speak to that because I was dragging him along with me during that time of and hit me. I was dragging him along. He was like, "Why are you functioning like this?" Like dragging everybody along, for the ride. Like, hey, we going over here, or we just popping up in random places. But it's cool. We're not going to be in no trouble. You know what I'm saying? It was all about not really being in trouble for us. You know what I mean? So, no, I had a lot of freedom, and I wouldn't say it's too much freedom because I was smart enough to use it wisely. But at the same time, um, I would never give my kids that kind of freedom that I had. You know
Exactly.
what I mean? So,
That part.
so the current, what's up, Mo? Better. So the current question is, how are you as a teen compared to your teens now?
Okay. I I don't know if everybody else chimed in already, but as for me, man, it's night and day. Whether it be guidance, whether it be direction, whether it just be rules. Man, like the structure that I guess that I provided for my daughter, man. It's just so different than what I had, and the direction is night and day. Personally, man, I'm really interested to see how it turns out, to kind of see the contrast. But man, at least as up to this point, man, it's really been dope. And even people back, kind of that know me from, growing up, they're like, "Oh, well, don't shelter her too much because eventually she's gonna run wild." And I'm like, I don't know if that's really the truth, if that's never been her life. So, you know, I guess that chapter is still to be written. So we'll see.
Yeah, so like you said, and like many of you said, it's almost like night and day. I won't say I had freedom. I stole my freedom, because my parents worked a lot. So it was like, yeah, I'm fit to go stay over Cav's house, mom. I'll see you on, on a Sunday night or whatever. I'll be there for the whole weekend or something. And then we be getting into something, you know what I mean? Hopefully my parents don't watch this episode, but yeah, we just be sneak my freedom and get out, and we would just be out doing whatever we was doing. And that was early, man. My daughter's 15 now. She's about to be 16 in about a month and a half, something like that. And yeah, I mean it's extremely different. So we're a lot more structured. I am, I practice what I call structured freedom. So I give her freedom based off of not my comfortability with her, but with her comfortability with things. So I watch her a lot, and I observe it, and then I give her, like, I have conversations with her. I talk to her about certain things based on her answers and her readiness for certain things. I'll give her a little bit of I'll give her a little bit of rope, not enough to hang herself, but just give her a little bit of rope so she could go out there and have fun and feel like she's a normal kid. But you know what I mean? She definitely doesn't have the amount of freedom that I have. I'm around more often. So, my mom and dad, they kind of split the shifts. So my mom usually worked all day and my dad was home all day. And then my dad worked all night and my mom was home at night. So it was like that type of thing. You know what I mean? And so it was just it's different because now I'm like I guess I'm kind of like my dad in that sense because I'm home, all day. So when she get home from school, I'm here. But then my wife, she works during the day too, so we kind of we're both available at night. But yeah, she has freedom, but it is very little freedom to what I had back in the day and what I took back in the day. It's a completely different kid. So I just think it's a different time, but then also, you know what I mean? I also wonder because we had a conversation recently and she was like, she wanted to go to this party or something. And I was like, I don't do last minute things. If you have something that you want to plan out, then you need to tell me at least 24 to 48 hours ahead of time so we can process it and we can talk about what that looks like, who's going to be there when you're coming home, things like that. And if you tell me something last minute, the answer is always going to be no. And, she's like, well, you need to give me more freedom because if you don't give me more freedom, then when I go away and go to college, I'm going to be wilding out. And I'm like, hold up, see, and this is where we're at in this conversation right now. And now this is why you're not getting the freedom because you're talking like this. You're not mentally prepared. And if you're not mentally prepared, you're already thinking that you're going to wild out in college. You're going to be homeschooled. So that's where I'm at with it right now. But it's completely
CCXC boys.
Hey, she dropped a bomb on you, boy. Talk about, hey, I'm going to wild out if you don't let me do this now.
Hey, that's that mental manipulation. That's going to be a counselor. Hey, that was slick. I like that. Okay.
Yeah, you put that one under things your teenage daughter would say on Jeopardy. That's the line right there.
I'm going to do it anyway if you don't let me do it now.
Right.
Ooh, that's so hurtful to the soul. What you got, hit me?
Man, that's like it's night and day, man. From even watching my son, I'm thankful that he had a different opportunity, a different look at things. And some things I wish they did, and some things, I'm happy that he didn't get into. But if you just look at it, like, from a standpoint, like they have way more social platforms than we ever had. You know what I mean? But yet we was way more socially advanced, you know what I'm saying, than they are. It's light years ahead. And that's because, you know what I'm saying, we were in the streets for real. Like we were interactive. Like if you remember, like, you know what I'm saying? I remember like 13, 14, everybody mobbing, catching the Pat bus to go to the mall. You know what I'm saying? Or, you know what I'm saying? We at the Ardmore roller rink. You know what I mean? You had like Kennywood, you had picnics. Like, you know what I'm saying? You had to fight. You know what I mean? You got there. Like, it was so many different things. Like, we were so ahead. And if you look at the movies we watched that we emulated, The Boys in the Hood, you know what I'm saying? Menace to Society, you know what I'm saying? Dead Presidents, like all those movies, like we wanted to be that. You know what I'm saying? We wanted to emulate that. Like everybody wanted to be O-Dog. You know what I'm saying? So we act a certain way. We did certain things. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I'm saying? That was our culture. That's what we did. And like, I'm just happy my son ain't never had to experience that. You know what I'm saying? He ain't had to go through that. Some of them things that, you know what I'm saying, we had to see. Like, they'll never see a crackhead. Like, you know what I'm saying? That's gone. You know what I mean? Like, all these different things that, you know what I'm saying, we knew, you know what I'm saying, coming up. Like, it was just different rules, man. It's just a whole way different life. But, like, the biggest, so we was at a wedding. And, you know what I'm saying, we came from the wedding and, you know what I'm saying, we had a really good time. Like, my son got to see everybody get down. And he was like, yeah, when I get 18, I'm going to be the same way. And I was like, yo, when I was your age, we was doing this. Like, we was doing this at 13, 14. We was going to the parties, you know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? You in the middle trying to do the little usher dance, everybody rooting you on, you know what I'm saying? You got the girl, you trying to get her, you know, it's just a different way, man. I think we was just way more socially advanced, you know what I mean? And our thinking, you know what I'm saying? We was growing up really fast. Like, I remember girls being pregnant in like 8th grade and they was getting houses, you know what I'm saying? Like they was getting like apartments and stuff, man. That's, you know what I mean? That was normal to us. You feel me? Like we was way more advanced socially,
Man, keep that. That wasn't normal to me.
Yo, that was me. I seen it. Like they was like getting like subsidized housing and like moving out. You know what I'm saying? Like at like 14, 15, man, straight up.
You know, I will say, growing up, if I heard like a 25-year-old got shot and died or something like that, I'm like, oh, he was old. Like I remember thinking that, like, you know what I mean? Like, oh,
He
he,
said
Yo,
he lived his life.
yeah,
yo,
he made it till he was old.
18 was a badge of honor, man. Like making the 18, like you accomplished something, man. You was there, like that was a badge, man. Like, we was growing up really fast, dog. You know what I'm saying? And it was just the time of what we was in and what was exposed. The exposure was different. We weren't as conscious of everything that we are now. You know what I mean? And that's why, you know what I'm saying, we prototype dance. Like, you know what I'm saying? You lived it. You know, you trying to like break that generational curse, man. You know what I'm saying?
No, that's real, man. I like everything you just said there. Um, Anybody got anything you want to elaborate on how they grew up or what they seen? Because we can roll into the next question.
I mean,
Just
I
real
just wanted
quick.
to. I just. Oh, go. You want go ahead, hit that.
Just a quick clarification. It wasn't O Dog for me, fellas. It wasn't O Dog. It was Ricky.
It was Ricky. You wanted
It
to
was
be Ricky?
Ricky.
Nah, it won't be Ricky.
Yeah, if you
Nah,
played
you
ball,
can't.
you was definitely Ricky. Yeah,
It was
that's
Ricky.
true.
Well,
Yeah.
you
Facts.
was, but
Yeah.
if
Nah,
anything,
it was Doughboy. It was Doughboy.
nah. For me, it was it was what's the other dude's name?
Lil Chris.
Oh, punch in the air. You was punching the air.
Yeah, I was the punch in the air
Oh, he
ass
was
nigga.
Trey.
Like,
He was Trey.
Trey.
Trey,
Yeah, he was
Trey,
Trey.
Trey.
Anybody I would definitely probably be Trey. You know what I'm saying? I didn't have that militant dad, but I was definitely Trey, like punching the air, like they want to arrest me. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I was
Emotional, had it
Now,
bad about a girl, the whole nine.
the whole nine. Because I would have,
Yo,
I'm
yo,
not
I
even gonna
remember,
share that story. Nope.
I remember when Belly. Look, when Belly came out, I wanted to be. I was walking around with the kufi and the personality glasses. You know what I'm saying? Remember how X came in?
You was too deep. You was too deep.
Yeah, son. I'm telling you, like, the movies, man, was like, that was cultural movies, man. You know what I'm saying? That was like the streets. It was the streets was at for real.
Real talk.
So to roll into the next question, right? So we talked about how we grew up, and we're trying to relate these things, right? So how do we communicate with our teens to kind of get us, get everything on board, get them to understand us, and them, us to understand them, right? So what kind of methods do y'all use to communicate to your teenagers?
Man, I linked into the hardest conversations mad early. And to be honest, my wife was like, "Why are you talking to them about that?" And I just, so I got 2 boys, 2 girls, y'all, 23, 20, 17, and 10. Girl, boy, boy, girl. But I didn't want my parents, because they were so open with me, like I didn't even get on what we used to do or what they used to let me do at 12 and 13. I wasn't that parent, but anything that you that you were going to deal with in life, we talk about boys, we talk about girls, we talk about sex, we talk about porn, we talk about drugs. I'm having that conversation, man. And I'm actually having that conversation in 5th grade. Because I got 4 and I got to study, watch, learn. That jump from 5th grade to 6th grade, whoo, man. You go from like getting candy for doing your work to they smashing and blowing weed in the bathroom out here in Cali. Like true stories. And I mean, I guess we used to do some of that when we was in middle school too. So it's not too far fetched. But so I got to prepare my 10-year-old for that, for the 8th grader in less than 10 months, because she's going to be in 6th grade at the bottom of the totem pole. But there's going to be 7th or 8th graders there blowing dank and doing wild things in the bathroom. If she don't have any, who's going to lead that conversation if I don't? It's going to be them little kids at school. So that's my advice.
And yeah, it'll definitely be the streets leading that conversation if you don't jump ahead of it.
Facts.
So I tried the same approach, right? Like as far as getting out there and having those weird conversations, those awkward moments, and saying how was this or how was that? You know what I mean? Just like you, and I even like go back to like origin stories, like this is how I met your mama. This is what I thought about your mama. You know what I'm saying? This is how I don't know if I should or if I shouldn't.
Yeah.
But
When keeping it real goes wrong.
I know. I'm trying to be as honest as I can, right? So it's like I remember having a conversation with my daughter, like, look, this is what I felt about your mom at the time. and this is how this was executed, and like it was all wrong. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and I was trying to get her to understand when a dude respects you and when a guy doesn't. And the same thing with my 13-year-old son. Like, I'm trying to jump ahead. He just acts bashful, like I'm in, like he doesn't do anything. But I know you up to something. Like, you know what I mean? And I like force it on him. I force those conversations, you know what I mean? Even like I even kind of bully him sometimes in forcing him to come to grips with different scenarios that I know he's not comfortable with talking about. You know what I mean? But I know he's just keeping it away from me, and I don't know why.
Yeah.
So my communication method with him, like, I haven't been the most successful. I'll be straight clear on that. So I can't even really give advice on how to be how to have a successful communication with him. I just know I've tried everything I could do to kind of jump ahead and be like, this is how I feel, this is what it is, and try to have these real conversations about whatever. You know what I mean? Not saying that they always been right.
Right.
Yo, but it's hard to really say like how to put an indicator on how effective they are, because they really, those conversations are really long-term investments. You know what I'm saying? You don't, you know what I mean? They're not gonna pay dividends. Like, it's not gonna be an instant thing. It's gonna be something like, even with my son now, the older he's getting and the more he's getting comfortable, he'll say something. I'll be like, hey, that's a good idea. You get that from? He's like, I got it from you. I'm like, damn, I forgot I told him that. You know what I'm saying? So like it comes like it ain't really like what you're saying to him now might not take effect for 3 or 4 years. You know what I'm saying? And then he'll come back and hit you with something. You're like, damn, man, that shit was a good idea, dog. Then he got this shit from you the whole time. You know what I'm saying? So you can't say what you, if you failing or you not, because it's still like, you know what I'm saying, it's still processing. You know what I mean? But so for me, for my son specifically, I got a girl and a boy. Like, I'm in management and I work with a lot of, you know what I'm saying, younger guys. And what I learned just doing it is that there's no like that granddad that was tough, the dad that was tough, the coach that was tough is kind of missing. And so it's hard to talk to men like men right now. You know what I'm saying? The younger guys. That's what that's what I'm learning. Like, it's really hard. And when you talk to them like men, they take it like they don't even listen to what you're saying. They're looking into the tone, and they get real defensive, and it just doesn't go over well. They're used to being like, they're used to women talking to him. So for my son, like, I talk to him like a man. You know what I mean? I make him look at me. I make him, like, you know what I'm saying? Don't raise your voice, but you need to speak with authority. You know what I'm saying? You need to talk like a man. You know what I mean? Because when other men approaching, I want him to respond like a man. You know what I'm saying? I want him to understand this is how men talk. So now I'm bringing them along, letting them hear the conversations, how men talk to each other. You know what I'm saying? The different stuff we say. So everything isn't, I'm offended by everything you said. You're a man. Like, we don't get offended. You know what I mean? You get something happen, you talk about it, and you know what I'm saying? We resolve, and it is what it is. But for him, that's one of, like, the communication. It's like, yo, I need you to talk to him like a man. When he start whispering and stuttering, hey man, what you say? Yo, repeat it. Say it like you know what I mean? I want him to say it like a man. And then for my daughter, like, I know it sounds weird, but I just, like, especially now that she's like turning like into a teenager, I be trying to like date my daughter. You know what I'm saying? Like I send her text messages, you know what I'm saying? And, like, you know what I mean? I just try to like I try to show her like how she needs to be treated, and like invest that time into her to know that she got, like, if a dude is interested in you, he needs to put this time in. You know what I'm saying? He needs to show you, you know what I mean, you're more, you know what I mean? It's I know it sounds weird saying it, but like the same affection or the same energy that I show, you know what I'm saying, these women, I try to do the same thing for my daughter. You know what I'm saying? Like, I try to take that time out, you know what I mean? I'll bring her some flowers. You know what I'm saying? Like, her hamster died, you know what I mean? We did a whole little burial with him, you know what I'm saying? I took her out to get her something to eat, you know what I'm saying? Like, I just try to be there, you know what I mean? Like, you will hope, like I want to do to be there for her. You know what I'm saying? I just give her an example.
Yeah, so I completely, well, I I mostly agree with that. So you know what I mean? I've been, kind of taking my daughter out on daddy-daughter dates since she was like 4 years old, and we sit down at a restaurant and have conversation, and you know what I mean, talk about stuff. So we're building that relationship, and building the trust. you know what I mean? But then also, you know, she's seeing how she should be treated and understanding, you know, what that looks like. And, you know, so now that she is 15 and what she said, I'm 15 and 3/4, Dad. But so, you know, now that she's 15 and 3/4, you know, we have a decent relationship to where we can have some sort of communication about certain things. I mean, you know, there's things that aren't comfortable for her. There's things that aren't comfortable for me to talk about. But like in that same regard, these conversations never happened for me. You know what I mean? It was like I was just figuring it out, you know, in the street. And so now I'm just trying to have these conversations to try to get ahead of it, you know, now that she's in high school and, you know, her friends are probably doing her cousins are probably doing way more stuff that she's doing at this point. And she's probably itching to get into the fold. And I'm just trying to like, yo, you know what I mean? Be patient. You know, all these things is, you know, these worldly things, everything isn't necessarily for you. And you have to, you know, pace yourself because one bad decision can ruin your whole life. You know, so just having those conversations and being honest, you know, and I admit sometimes it's difficult for me because when I hear certain stuff, I'm like automatically turning into a bull. I'm ready to snap. So sometimes I got to step back from the situation for a second and then, you know, come back to it like, okay, you know, explain to me your side, you know, explain to me why you think this is important to do and just be you know, a listening ear because, you know, whether we want to believe it or not, man, you know, once they hit that teenage, they're no longer, you know, we're no longer the biggest influence in their life. Their peers are. So, you know what I mean? They're not necessarily taking what we say to heart all the way. You know, you know, what I am learning, one of the things that hit me that resonated is like, you know, certain things that you say and that you teach, you know, you know, you can't say right away whether it worked because it is kind of like planting a seed. You know what I mean? Like certain times I'm teaching, I'm saying stuff, and I just feel like she's not listening, she's not hearing, it's not working. And then, you know, a month, a year down the line, she's repeating back to me what I said, or she's saying certain phrases that I say, or you know what I mean? She's doing certain stuff that she saw me do. And it's like, okay, so, you know, she was paying attention. But, you know, just like with me, sometimes with kids, it takes time to, you know, marinate. It takes time to resonate with you. So you got to process that stuff. And sometimes you got to step away from the situation to be able to, you know, to really get an understanding of what's going on. Because most times, you know, when you're trying to have that one-on-one conversation, you know, people tend to get defensive. And when they get defensive, they're not necessarily open to, you know, to active responses. So you're just, you know, listening to respond and listening to win the fight or win the conversation rather than listening to get an understanding. And, you know, so oftentimes it takes time for all of that stuff to click. So, you know, I probably, all of us probably had conversations with our kids and we just thought, you know, it just went over their head. And then, you know, down the line, it was like, oh, they were listening. They did hear it. But, you know, it's just that tug of war. You got to get past that initial fight back. You know what I mean? And just kind of let that seed grow. You just got to keep watering it, keep having that conversation, keep building your relationship. And the more you build your relationship, the more the trust is there. And the more the trust is there, the more they're going to be willing to come to you asking for information or just trusting you with information and opening up to you with stuff. So that's what I've been trying to do, man. I can't say if I'm doing the right thing or the wrong thing. I oftentimes beat myself up because I think I'm making her soft. You know what I mean? Because I heard this saying one time. I can't remember who said it, and it was like there, you know, a billionaire. Like if there's a billionaire this generation, you know, there might be a billionaire the next generation, but the third generation they're going to be broke, and that's because, you know, successful people build weak people. You know what I mean? So, you know, you're making them more comfortable each generation, and they're losing the draft, they're losing the fight, and they're not necessarily used to those hard conditions. So when it gets hard, they usually fold. So, you know, I often wonder, if I'm making it too easy? Should I throw some, you know, some curveballs in there? Should I, you know, do some character building, you know, things in order to just kind of build that toughness, that grit, you know, in order for when the tough stuff come up, they ain't folding and they ain't ready to quit, you know. So I always go back and forth, but
so I kind of want to speak to that
doing the right thing.
I kind of want to chime in on that. Right? I know the parable you're talking about, the meme or whatever that's out there. right? But one thing I realize is that, and I think me and Mo better talk about this all the time, is that we get to these certain levels in life, and I think Rob, you could attest to this too. We get to these certain levels in life, and we're not where we were growing up, right? But we don't realize there's a whole other set of issues out here at this level and levels above. And generally, these are the levels that we would call white people problems. You know what I mean? That our kids are dealing with. And so what do? They get their kids therapy and everything like that. Like, you know what I'm saying, to deal with. I think we're in such a deficit state that we don't even get to a point where therapy is helpful for us because we're just not even there. We're so much in survival mode that therapy is just like so far fetched. And I think at this level where I think, you know, we're all kind of well off, we're all decent now. I think we're dealing with these middle class issues, and I think therapy might be the key now where it might kick in. I'm not a huge advocate for therapy just because it just never worked for me. But I came from a very savage, different background where therapy wasn't necessary. You know what I mean? Wasn't helpful then. But maybe to get through this level of problems, therapy is the answer. You know what I mean? So I there's and what I'm speaking to is like, so let's say we're all focused on building these empires, or not empires per se. I don't want to be boastful, but we're all focused on building these legacies. And what we really desire is for our kids to take this legacy to the next levels, right? Like it's that local bakery that goes from a community center to a franchise situation, and you want your lineage to take it there, right? And I think we're missing the steps on going from, all right, we made it to the local level. How do we get our kids to recognize that, hey, take this platform to the franchise or the next level or whatever. You know what I mean? And I think I think we're missing that communication aspect because we're just not used to it. I don't know if anybody want to speak to that, but
So you make a hell of a point. And it's something that, I kind of had anxiety about for years, man. I had a saying. I was like, am I creating a toothless tiger? You know what I mean? I'm like, man, she has all kind of, genetics inside of her that I was like, yo, if stuff would come easy to you if you just wanted it. Like, it got to the point where I was like pushing her in the athletics, and she's like, Dad, I just don't want to do it. And I was like, yo, but like, you can go to school for free. She's like, but you can pay for school. Why is that even an issue? I was like, you're right. So it got to the point where I stopped pushing her in ways that she didn't want to be pushed. Obviously, I call it, I'm more of a guide rail. So I'm just a guide rails, and I foster and I nurture whatever it is she's passionate about. And that's, and me and Vic talked about it. That's kind of where we differ. I got to the point where the whole her extending my legacy, like I'm past that at this point. I guess my goal at this point is to create enough of it myself to where she can live a life that she don't need to have a vacation from. And that's what I'm looking for her. Like, whether it be, she has residual money coming in and she can just pursue her passions or do whatever it is that she wants to do and not have to do a job that she hates. So that's the point that I'm getting to. Now, I'm lucky at this point in that, I mean, she said she wanted to be a Supreme Court justice. So, I mean, that's her passion. So that's easy to get behind it and easy to try to foster. But, but kind of to go back to the point that we were talking about, like counseling and stuff like that, you're totally right. Like, man, like the way I grew up and, for the most part, I know most of y'all, man, like I was so callous that I was like, what are we talking about here? And she's like, yo, like I got anxiety. And I'm like, bro, like, are you serious? Like when I was your age, like I can't tell you how many wakes I had been to. And you talking about somebody didn't say hi to you in homeroom. I'm like, but again, like different mentality, different environments create different problems. So I was like, this is the most detrimental thing that's happened to you. Whereas like I would have welcomed that to be the worst thing. So just understanding, and I've said it before, where you sit is determined by where you stand. So that's what I've learned. I mean, at the end of the day, I was like, okay, let me take a step back and determine what it is that's important to her and meet her where she's at. So that's what I've learned.
Yo, I think another piece of that too is it's explaining the history. You know what I'm saying? To your children. I had that conversation. Like I had to have a conversation. Like I said, my daughter is turning a teenager, but I had to explain to her, like the generational issues that they had within their side of their mom's side of the family. You know what I'm saying? And that her being a woman, like you got to be the one to take the next step. Like it's up to you. You know what I'm saying? And having that conversation and being able to articulate that conversation for them to understand it, but not to belittle anybody, but to empower them. You know what I'm saying? To tell them like, look, you the one. Like we they depending on you. We depending on you. I need you to push this forward. You know what I mean? That's really important step, man. That we sometimes we don't like to have conversations because we feel like it's wrong, but somebody got to like open their eyes to it so they can put themselves in another place. They can see, because you know what I'm saying. If you don't look at your history, then you bound to repeat it. You know what I'm saying? You understand where you at. So I had to have that conversation with her. You know what I'm saying? And hopefully she can push forward, knowing that what's at stake. You know what I'm saying? And make it so she's empowered. You know what I'm saying? And they start giving her the tools too. You know what I'm saying? And she can go and get the tools.
So hit me. That's actually an interesting point, man. I like my family back home always kind of give me that advice. I don't believe in it, like, because people are like, "Oh, well, why don't you just send her back to Pittsburgh and we'll toughen her up?" I'm like, that's not the point. Like, that's a whole different set of problems that she started here. She don't need to go back and get those types of lessons. So I just didn't feel that was necessary. I'm knocking on wood that those things don't come back to bite me, but I just felt like those were remedial lessons that she didn't need to learn.
Before we move past this, I gotta interject one thing, because Mo brought it to the table, and I think it's wild how everything always circumnavigates around purpose. And so, just to give you a quick context, I come from a belief that our kids are not ours. Like, they actually chose us as their parents before they came here. I live from a belief that everybody comes here with a contract on an assignment. Like, you coming into this plane in this space and time, your mom is the portal. Mom and dad got together from a DNA biological perspective. This is your line. But all my kids believe that they have a unique purpose. And so my parenting is rooted in them helping them fulfill that purpose. So that is actually the place where I coach and lead from. That's the North Star for each of them, because they're all different. And it's not on me to just be an authoritative figure in their lives, be a dictator in their lives, and tell them what to do. They came here with knowledge. They came here with medicine, and they actually forgot it through the public school system, through TV. Like, they forgot why they're here. It's my job to, in a sense, wake them up and help them remember. And so every time they start going left, it's not about what did I say. It's about what did you say? Who did you say you were? Why do you say you're here? What is your existential why? How does this choice or this path or these set of behaviors or this line of thinking, these ideologies that you regard as truths, how do they support you and you fulfilling your purpose and your mission? And now they just be self-assessing. Like, yeah, nah, that's incongruent. I'm done with it. Nah, that don't work. That don't work for me. I'm out. Yeah, so it's a beautiful. It took a while for me to get here. I ain't gonna lie to you, but the last 5 years have been amazing.
Look, I love what you just said, bro. I want to get on board, and it will be a pleasure to get on board with that kind of ideology, that thinking that you have. My problem with that is it relieves a huge amount of accountability on my purpose as a father. I feel to kind of leave them to guide themselves into and to come under the notion of letting myself think that they already have a purpose, a way of all that self ingrained. I mean, don't get like, bro. I would love to just relinquish that stress of making. You know what I mean?
It took for me to be to a point where I was ready to murder somebody to let it go. Like, I was trying to control it, bro. And I'm not saying that they can do as thou wilt. What I'm saying is I know that there's an iceberg ahead. I don't let them run into the iceberg. I tell them.
But what if they want to run into the iceberg? What if they're like, I'm running to the iceberg? And I'm like, no, this is the iceberg. I'm running to the iceberg. You know, I mean,
and you coach them through it. So there's a couple of base values, like things like core values. That's something that I'm sharing them with them, and I'm not just talking. It's modeling.
You're saying you're sharing. You're not installing. You're saying you're sharing.
So core values are installed, shared and installed. That's the foundation. Things like character, things like integrity, those things ain't like what's your definition of integrity or what's your definition of character. It's like I'm giving you the foundation and how this is important. Like you can't do anything, you can't manifest, you can't make nothing happen without integrity. So I'm giving you that. Not like, oh, Dan, let me figure out integrity for myself. I'm gonna be out here frivolous with my word, doing whatever I want to do, lying to people, whatever, and now I'm gonna do it my way. Nah, it's not the Wild Wild West. There's core beliefs, core values, core foundation, integrity, character, and then there's everything else outside of that. So that's we model the core.
Okay, I mean, like it just sounded very Will Smithish. You know what I mean? You were explaining that. It sounded very Smithish of a way of going about things, right? And like I said, to me, I just feels like we're all about accountability on this platform, right? Yeah. And like I said, I think for a lot of us to give or to have that thinking like that would just relieve so many
facts.
We all know it's not that easy.
Whew.
We all know it's really not that easy. And I just wanted to be firm, or I just want to be sure about what you were saying.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because that what you said was different than how we would have normally attacked that kind of situation.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the core. The core is the core. We don't do this, no disrespect to anybody. We don't do this, we're not like, hey, you are whoever, whatever you want to be today. Like it's not. And I know me living in Calabasas out here in California is in your subconscious mind. You like, oh, he on that. He been hanging out with Willie. He been over.
You already knew. Yeah, right.
They're like 10 minutes away. You know what I'm saying? But nah, it's the core is the nucleus. That's the foundation. How you self-discover. Somebody said guardrails. Was it you?
Mo said that.
No, that's probably the best way to visualize what I'm saying. Is your lane. I'm the guardrails, right? And you go ahead and roll the ball, and you're gonna do this and you're gonna do that. But I'm here like, nah. I'm just saying the tactics that I use to keep them in a straight line is anchored in what they said who they are, who they said they wanted to be. I help them see that, and then they see it for themselves. So it's like, okay, if you want to be, so my son, right? My son, this one.
Congrats.
He's like, I taught him that. I asked him, what's your dream? Well, I want to be in the NFL. I said, that's not big enough. That was my dream. When I got there, I was like, that's it?
Yeah.
What else? What else is there? I said, what's above that? Well, I want to win a Super Bowl. Okay. What else? I want to go to the Pro Bowl. Okay, that's cool. I said, what else is above that? He said, he thought about it. He said, I want to be in the Hall of Fame. That's a different definiteness of purpose that will become that becomes your lane. And everything that looks like Hall of Fame today, not 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 15 years from now, because he's 17, you got to be Hall of Fame right now. So what I mean by I allow their purpose to be the anchor or the thing that causes them to be locked in. That's what I mean. I mean that. So then I coach him from that place.
What if they don't have that though? What do you do? What do you do when they don't have that?
So we got tennis pro in Aubrey. We got Hall of Fame in Aaron. We got.
I'm saying, what if they don't know?
Oh well, that's see. You talk about your job. You talk about you not fulfilling your purpose. See that is a non-negotiable thing that is on me to get out of them. Because I'm not fulfilling my purpose if I'm not, as an elder, if I'm not helping.
If you're not pulling out their no.
Say it again.
If you're not pulling out their no, that's so you're saying you're failing if you can't pull out their why.
That's one of the pillars. If I can, I'm here to pull it out. I'm here to help you remember. Then I'm here to help you plan, strategize, and execute, and support you along the way.
What do y'all think about that, fellas? Pulling out the why.
Yeah, the crazy thing is like the only thing that messes with me is like kids don't know what the heck they want. You know what I mean? And I have conversations all the time, and it's always the problem that gets me is that it changes. So you know what I mean. At one point in time, because I come from a culinary background, so my daughter was like, follow me around the kitchen, heavy in the culinary. She's a beast in the kitchen. I mean, a beast. She at one point in time she started her own cupcake business. Man, we did all the papers to start our business, got all the stuff ready. We got right behind her. We put the money into it. We invested in her to build that. And when it came to it, like she loved to do the cooking. She loved to be in the kitchen with me. She loved to spend time with me. But when it came down to the business of it, then it was like it became work. And now it's no longer something that she loves to do. And that happens a lot with children. They start doing stuff with dad or mom, and they're like, yeah, I love to do it. And you think, okay, they're great at this. They're awesome. This is their purpose. This is where they want to go. And they communicate that to you. And then next thing you know, they're rebelling against it because it was never about that being a purpose. It was about them spending with you. And you just didn't see that in the moment because you was too caught up in your ego. Like, oh, my kid is just like me. My kid wants to follow in my footsteps. My kid wants to, and you fall in love with that moment and you forget that it was more about the time that you guys were spending together. And now instead of being dad, you became coach or you became boss or you became, you started pushing them to be better. And that's where the problem comes in for me because I've been through this like 3 different times where it was like, okay, I want to do this. And now I'm pushing you because I know what you need to be. And then now you're rebelling against it because now it became work. It's not about spending that time. So that's the only thing that gets me because I would love to be in that, being able to home where you want to be and in that space you want to be. Some people know it. Like my brother, he knew when he was 5 years old and he was steadfast. You know what I mean? And then other people, they don't really find out till 18, 21, 30. So how do you navigate that space and be able to support somebody and be able to be a guardrail and be able to be somebody who could pull what's innately in them out of them if they can't find it in themselves? You know what I mean? And that's the trouble that I got because, I see what's going on. We communicate about what's happening and I start, being in there. I'm trying to be, I'm trying to, tap on that duality of father and coach. And it's, it's a hard line to be on. So that's the only thing I got with it is like figuring out, okay, what is just emotion of us being together and what is reality of something that you really want to do?
I'm gonna talk just real quick, bro. It's you said it perfectly. We talked about how we're more well off than the environments that we grew up in. That well-offness for me just gave me the ability to be able to expose them to a plethora of things at a very young age. That again is, so we talk about, Vic say like, Kev says like, okay, what about the people who don't know their purpose? Most of my kids did know young like I did, but there is one or two that kind of toggles. My job is here's the expressway. So it could be STEM, it could be dance, it could be aeronautic, like it could be aerospace. Like I'm going to expose you to as much as possible, and you find your way. And if that means that I spend $2,000, $5,000, $10,000 over 2 years, and then you decide to put that down because it no longer makes you feel alive, I'm not in that hood mindset no more. I'm not in a impoverished mindset no more. That was the cost of her self-discovery. And I do it again.
Ooh, that's deep. Ooh.
So that's different.
That's
also some Will Smith shit.
Yeah, well, it is. That's some very upper classes. that's some
upper I can write that off on my taxes.
That's some upper class right there.
I better write that off.
Real talk.
I mean, but it's real though, and I can appreciate. I mean, we all do appreciate that perspective, man, and it kind of resets our bar. What you just said, like real, like I think we all just learn from that, right? It resets our bar of, man, we need to chalk this up as a loss. Because I know I struggle with that. You know what I mean?
It's not because they learn.
Well, they might have learned, but like, you know what I'm saying? Like my daughter was like, you know, softball, All-American, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm leaning on that path. So I'm like, boom, we're there. And then she's like, I'm done with this. Like, and I'm like, no, you're too good to stop. Like, no, like let's ride. And she's like, man, I don't really want to do this. Like, and I can see where I was starting to, like, I'm forcing her, like, you know what I mean? And I'm pushing. And I'm like trying to get her over this hump. Like, you got to figure it out. Come on, we got to keep going. You're right there. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
but this is the thing that Leaf was talking about. And this is a phenomenon that you two are describing. It's called attachment. And attachment is, I now have expectation. I'm now attached to an outcome based on all the money and time that I invested, and based on how good you actually are. Like, you really that business, like, you that work. And so and attachment is a function of the ego. So if we once we become attached to an outcome, just know that the ego is at play. The way it works is I have to condition myself to not be attached to how it turns out. If Aaron says, I don't want to go to USC, I don't want to be a 5-star, I don't want to be in the Hall of Fame no more, I'm going to ask him why. I'm not going to be like, well, it's your life, son. I'm going to ask him why, to make sure what's driving that is not fear at the root, but love.
Hey, we talked about that. Check out the Fair episode.
Got you. So come on, man.
We talked about that. Yeah.
Dope.
So,
I still use something from that episode where a doc said, I deserve this. That was one of the deepest things. Like, every time you be like, man, this is too good to be true. I deserve this. Like, I still use that. That was one of the gems that, to this day, man, I still use that.
That was a deep episode.
Yo, we just talked about that. We was in Dallas. Like, yo, man, like, I mean, Mo hit it on the head, man. That was really powerful, man. You know what I mean? It's thinking, like, when you say I deserve something, man, you don't feel like you're just lucky, like it's an accident, like, or that you can lose it. Because if I deserve it, I can make it happen again. You know what I'm saying? It's you know what I mean? This is where I'm supposed to be. This is my destiny, man. So that's real. But just to go back, you know what I'm saying, with you guys, the knowledge you guys is teaching, I think in the essence, as a parent, you know, like my man just said, like, we're elders. You know what I mean? We went through all these experiences, you know what I mean? And now we're a teacher, and a really good teacher can pull something out of you. You know what I mean? You sit back and use all your experiences and all the relationships that you encountered, and now you're looking at this person that doesn't have a clue. You know what I mean? And you can say, like, you know what, yo, I think you'll be good at this. You know what I'm saying? If it don't work, then you know what I mean? But you learn how to give them little indicators to pull it out of them, man. You know what I'm saying? Because we're a teacher. Like, we're gonna give them the different subjects, see what they excel at, what they don't excel at. You know what I mean? And we're gonna drive them. You know what I mean? But we can't be the deciding factor. You know what I mean? Because ultimately it has to come from within them. But I think we all have it. We just gotta learn how to go get it. Because I truly believe that we all came here with a purpose. You know what I mean? It's within us. We just don't know how to. A lot of times it gets lost in all the stuff that's going on around us, all the distractions, you know what I'm saying? All the things that the influences that we get, we lose it, or we're too afraid to embrace it. You know what I mean? Because it may not be what everybody else is doing, or it may not be sexy, or it may not be what your parents want you to do. You know what I'm saying? So we lose it then, but I believe that it's there as soon as we hit this earth, that we have it. You know what I'm saying? We just got to know how to go get it.
Man, I don't want to cut off this. We're digging in, man. I have 3 other questions though that I kind of want to at least touch base on. But this is definitely like dope, and I'm sure we can go on and on about this, man. But I kind of want to talk about money with our kids, right? And what boundaries, the boundaries, and just a little bit of everything about our kids turn 16, and now they want to get out in the work world. They want to make money. Now it's time to make money, and I want this, I want that. You know what I'm saying? But there some weird things happen in the work world where they treat them like adults. You know, and sometimes it's good, but sometimes it's bad. Where like even like my daughter recently had a job, and her mother was telling me like they kept her there in a place sweeping the floor until midnight, and left her in the restaurant by herself, and like
Look,
she
how
had to
about
go in
this?
there and be.
So to that point, so I don't believe in it, right? But to that point, if y'all kind of saw the story about the Walmart situation where the guy went in the break room, one of the people that passed away was 16.
Mm,
It was
that's what I'm
after
saying.
10. So that's why I don't believe in it. So the money isn't what she needs. It's the experience. And so I try to find other ways to circumnavigate getting that discipline and getting those types of things because she doesn't need that money. You know what I mean? So because I remember some of the stuff I was exposed to. I still remember one of my first jobs. I worked at Eaton Park in Square Hill. Some of the stuff I was exposed to, and I was like, oh, like
Yeah.
Squirrel Hill problems was a whole lot different than what I was used to in Wilkinsburg. And I was like, oh, welcome to the real world. So yeah, I don't believe in it, man. There's different ways to get those lessons. And I kind of already told y'all the trajectory my daughter's on and kind of what she's talking about. And she's like, look, I'm ready to go and clerk up under a judge. I don't want to go work at Chick-fil-A.
Well,
So
I mean, a lot of kids are right, and we all come. We all don't come from. We all come from where we come from, right? And we can speak from where we're at, but a lot of people listening don't necessarily aren't where we're at, and they might be willing to let their kids work weird hours. I mean, think about it though. Even when we were coming up, some of our parents might have made us chipping on the bills with that money. You understand what I'm saying? And it was their way to teach us how to be responsible. Which I mean, my mom never made me do. She let me keep all mine, but that's not the norm for a lot of other kids. You know what I mean? That's working at that McDonald's job, getting a 2-week check. So it's like, what's the proper way to navigate that? And I never worked during football season, like you know what I mean. But I already had my own boundaries in place. But that don't necessarily like. I still needed a parent. I mean, she didn't step in, but I would have liked the parent to be like, "Hey, we speaking adult things to adult people." But in that environment, you're the adult. You're filling out your W-2s. You're filling out your forms. You're filling out your work schedule. That's you. That's that teen at that point. You know what I mean? So as a parent, how do you kind of like navigate the boundaries around? And I like what you said, Mo, but navigate the boundaries around letting your kids get out there in the workforce and make money.
So I thought we were going somewhere else with this. I thought we were going to go talk about like teaching them about money, but let's stay here. This is good though. And to your point, like, so I pretty much, I played something every season. So I'm working in between that, man. And I always go back to, now granted, man, financial literacy wasn't something that was taught. I mean, how can you teach it when you don't have money? So, kind of in my family, man, that wasn't what they was teaching. But one of the things that I always went back to is I remember, man, I've always been like fiscally responsible. If nothing else, I'd rather hold it than spend it on nothing. Right. And one of the biggest things that I even tell my daughter about, man, I remember, just me working in the summers or whatever. I remember at one point, man, I had $10,000 stashed in my room. And literally, I remember once it was found, I got accused of hustling, like, because that was so far-fetched for me to have $10,000 that I had to be doing something wrong. And I was like, when have you ever known me to be Billy whatever? I was like, no, I've been working and I've been saving my bread and whatever. And instead of celebrating that, it was like, oh, since you got all that money, go do your thing. That leaves me off the hook. School clothes, all that, whatever, that's on you. Instead of celebrating that and be like, all right, look, let's teach you how to grow it. Let's teach you how to do whatever or do something productive with it. So
Don't even do that. Don't do that.
Yeah. So with that being said, again, it's coming from a place of have, not a place of just trying to survive. So that's what I've been, man. Hell, you remember Vic, man? I think my daughter was maybe 5 and I bought her for Christmas. I bought her 1 share of Disney. So I've been trying to instill this and I've been planting those seeds for a long time now, man. And not to hustle backwards or to, exchange time for money. Like I want her to get the experience and get the exposure to where, getting money is just going to be a muscle movement for her. It's not going to be something that she has to do in order to survive. So yeah, man, the hell with this, working this little job, man. Get the experience, and it's something that's going to create more opportunities for you later.
So look,
And
this
that,
is how I feel
that
about
goes
it.
for anything.
Yeah, look, this and I think there's a space for both, man. And I think, us trying to shield our kids from the stuff that we went through, I don't necessarily think that's all the right way. Because, if you look at the suicide rates, man, a lot of people are killing themselves. And that's because they never had to go through the hard stuff. You know what I mean? So things have been easy. They win, 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 win. And then when they lose, stuff is too hard. They don't know how to deal with it. So sometimes you need to put some hardships in there to build a little character. I'm not necessarily against the working. I mean, when I got my first job, I think I was 14 years old. My parents never told me I had to work. They never pushed me to work. I wanted to work. Like, I wanted to get out. I hated asking them for stuff. You know what I mean? I wanted to go out, get my own. You know what I mean? I wanted to be my own man. I wanted to forge my own steps. So I went out, got a job. I made my own money. I bought the stuff that I wanted to buy. I went out and did the stuff that I wanted to do. It was what it was. I was never forced to work, and to that extent, I kind of want to still instill similar to my daughter, but the difference is my daughter's in private school, so the workload is a little bit different than it was for me in public school. You know what I mean? Her workload is extensive, so it's a little more difficult for her to do that. So her mom's an attorney. She used to have her own practice, so during the summers, my daughter used to intern with her. You know what I mean? My nieces used to intern with her. You know what I mean? And just get clerical experience and filing experience and things like that. So, that's how they would, make their summer money, or they would come work for me at the, in my community garden, and, they would intern with me and get some hands-on experience there. And not necessarily get work a formal job, but they'd be working for us, learning skills and be tied to us in a way to where they're learning, they're getting a good experience. They're learning how to be there on time. You know what I mean? They're managed in a good way. And that's not necessarily to say that I'm against getting a separate job, because they might want to. They might just want to be in a different space and experience different people and not be under their parents. So, I encourage them to do whatever they want to do. However, at the same time, the same level that they maintain on their academics prior to having the job, they need to maintain that same level while they have the job. And, students, I think during the school year, they can only work till during the week, Monday to Friday, I think they can only work till 7 o'clock. So generally that's like 5 to 7. You can only work like 2-3 hours during the week. And then on a weekend, you could work open hours. But, having that experience, exposing them to different things, I'm okay with that, because, being able to see people who don't live exactly like you live and seeing how everything comes together, I think it allows you to be able to communicate in a different way than if you were not exposed to that. And then also it gives you a different drive when you're making your own money, because one thing I always tell my daughters, because I don't know, maybe 2, 3, 4 years ago, I got my daughter her own credit card, so we can start building her credit. So by the time she leaves my house and, goes off to college, she has a decent credit score. She has a credit history, and, we're starting to, worry about building her credit profile and her financial profile. We're saving money. We're investing money, and I'm telling her all this stuff. None of this stuff might resonate right now. She's a kid. She doesn't really get it. Although we've had the conversations, and I asked her, like, why do you think that I got you this credit card? She gives me all the right answers. And you know what I mean? And then I asked her, I said, well, if I started to make you pay whatever you spent on this credit card back, how much would you use this credit card? And she said, I probably wouldn't use the credit card at all. I'd probably just use my own money. So, you know what I mean? The lessons that I'm trying to teach, she don't necessarily get it right now, but she understands it. You know what I mean? And that's the type of thing that I'm trying to do. I'm trying to plant the seed, so down the line, she gets it. And she understands it, and we can start building these things in the future when I'm not around. So, like I said, I'm not necessarily against those experiences. I would rather her have those experiences in-house. We have a lot of, people in our family who have their own businesses where she can intern to go work for during the summer and things like that. But if she doesn't want to work for us for some reason, and she still wants to get her own money, I encourage that, because, like I said, not everybody has the same lifestyle that she has, and I want her to be exposed to that and appreciative of it. You know what I mean? And see, like, look, man, we're trying to build something positive here, and you need to be able to see the forest through the trees.
Anybody want to chime in on that?
Yeah, I think.
Just go ahead, hit me.
Oh, yo, I will give like a. I think I'll give it because it seems like everybody's story is similar. I think mine is like it's a little different because I can say like I'm a product of government assistance. You know what I'm saying? Like I grew up on it, right? You know what I'm saying? My mom didn't really have it. She had 4 kids since she was 18, like back to back to back to back. You know what I'm saying? So it was, you know what I'm saying? She tried as best as she could. But we still struggle. So when I turned 16, you know, my mom, one of what she asked was like, look, you get a job, you take care of yourself, then that'd be one less kid I gotta worry about, you know what I'm saying? I take pressure off of it. So that's what I did, you know what I'm saying? To the point where when I was really excelling in a lot of sports, but I stopped because I was just really tired of being broke. You know what I'm saying? I wanted a car. We never had a car. You know what I'm saying? I was tired of being on the bus. So I just figured like, yo, you know what I mean? Like I actually had a good job. So like you gotta think like early 2000s. I think it was like $4.75, $5 was the minimum wage. Like I was making like $8 an hour, you know what I'm saying? I thought I was balling, you know what I'm saying? Like I was doing good. I was working in the shop, you know what I'm saying? I'm working with the older guys. And it's funny because like them dudes taught me how to gamble. My first like Hennessy and Coke, them dudes gave it to me, you know what I'm saying? They was like my big brothers, man. They taught me a lot. You know what I'm saying? But they also got me into a lot of stuff, like, you know what I'm saying? But like my experience was different. So I like working for me was like as a key to survival. You know what I'm saying? Like that's how I looked at it. You know what I'm saying? Like this is how I gotta survive. You know what I mean? I didn't want to go the other route that people my age were going. You know what I'm saying? So I figured like, yo, I'm making good money. You know what I'm saying? I can hustle here. You know, I can get all the Jordans. You know what I'm saying? Just like my man Mo, I was sitting on stacks. You know what I'm saying? I was sitting on some stacks. I had stacks in the closet. I bought me a lack. You know what I'm saying? I was like, it worked for me. So that's what I thought. Like, you know what I'm saying? Working, like, yo, you work. So as I got older, it was work. Or, you know what I'm saying? Get 2 jobs. You know what I'm saying? Just keep working. But now, when trying to teach my son is to have an entrepreneurial mind, because working all the time is not going to get you there. You know what I'm saying? You got to be able to, you know what I'm saying, create different streams of revenue, different things. So, like, he got his first job this year working at the movie theater. But he used to cut grass and he used to be holding, like, holding money. Like, he's doing good. Like, he's cutting grass. So I told him, I said, hey, man, how much did you make all day at this movie theater? He told me the number. I don't like, maybe like $75. I said, how much you get a yard? He's like, man, I get like 50 a yard. I said, so in 2 hours, you would have made more money than you made being up in there in 8 hours. You know what I'm saying? Like, think about that. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I mean? If, you know what I'm saying? Just think about that for a minute. So that's what I'm trying to create for them. You know what I'm saying? I still want them to work because, you know what I'm saying, working, you know what I mean, is responsibility. It teaches you a lot of different things. But I just don't want them to necessarily work for somebody. You know what I'm saying? I want them to be able to create, you know what I'm saying, revenue on their own. You know what I'm saying? Even if they become YouTubers or whatever, maybe they get a podcast. You know what I'm saying? Like, whatever you want to do, like, you know what I'm saying, do it. That's something, I mean, create your own wealth, man. You know what I'm saying? And stop investing in everybody else's stuff, you know what I'm saying? Take that opportunity to invest in you. You know what I mean? That's what I would definitely, you know what I'm saying, promote that, you know what I'm saying, over just the traditional get a job, you know what I'm saying, and try to work your way up, or, you know what I'm saying, get the, you know what I mean, mopping floors, and this next week is the fries type thing, you know what I'm saying? But, you know what I mean? That's just giving y'all just a different perspective of it. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? I probably ain't make it as far as some, but you know what I mean? But that's what I would teach my kids at this moment.
I'll go quick, bro. I'll go quick. Quick story, quick philosophy. One, I started working at 12. So I was a bum. I was the kid who got jumped, teased, picked on, you know what I mean, growing up in Broadhead before we moved to the north. And the only way I was going to be fly was I had to get to the bag myself. And not only that, not only just to get fly, not get teased, and be wearing hand-me-downs in the same Dickies every day, and wearing that sweatshirt right side out and then inside out the next day, back to back, or that D-long hoodie, flipping it inside out like I got on a new fit. It's the same fucking fit. You know what I mean? Was I had to get a job. And inside of that, I saw my mom struggling. So I'm gonna break her off 50, 60, 70, $75. So I started getting recruited. This is a real true story. And I was hustling. I was hustling. I'm an honor roll student, D1 prospect in the alley,
In the streets.
in the street. See, this is like exclusive stuff. You know what I mean? This is the first time, you know. So I know what it's like to have your ribs touching. I got a job. I was working at me. I was like, I can't keep doing this because somebody took a picture of me while I was, you know what I mean, doing my thing. I got my first letter. It was a wrap. So I start working. Coach Junko from Pitt. Robbie, we want to come see you. You're a priority. Where you going to be at? I said, oh, Junk, I got to work. You going to be at the house? No, I'm going to be at work. What? Yeah, I'm going to be at work. Old Country Buffet, North Hills, McKnight Road. You know what I'm saying? After practice. So I get to work at 6, 7. I'm there till 10. I ain't got no car. We ain't had no family car. Like Hit Me said. Like, I don't even know what that is. He came out to the Old Country Buffet, fam. I said, look, he said, where you at? I said, I'm back there on the roast beef. Like, I'm on the prime beef, carving up the beef. He came back there. He shook his head. He almost had tears in his eyes. He said, I can't believe this is the life of a 16-year-old recruit. Like, what are you doing? I said, man, I gotta take care of myself. I gotta help my mom out. His mind was blown. Showed him something altogether different. So I say all that to say this: for me, knowing what I experienced, my kids, we monetize grades. You're gonna think it's lucrative. You're gonna think it's crazy. It's $100 for A. But guess what? My kids are not materialistic. They don't have all the fly stuff at all. They like the rich kids. Like, you wouldn't know. You know what I mean? I taught them to invest, like Hit Me said, in themselves. So my son wanted to go to the studio, make a track. Dude, you get $400 for A. How much is the studio time for an hour? It's $250. All right. Well, how many hours is it gonna take for you to do a track? Well, I could probably get something done in 2 to 3 hours. All right. Well, listen, son. It sounded to me like you need about $750. You got 6 classes. That's 6 right there. Then I bet if you hit your grandma up, hit your granddad up, you can get another $150, hit your cousin up. Now you got your studio session. He had to earn it. And not just earn it, but also pour it back into you. So that's where they are. They like, if you want something, you got to work for it. So we monetize grades and we incentivize chores.
I love that because it I don't mean to cut you off, but it teaches. It's something I do too, right? I don't know who I was talking to. I might have been talking to Hit. So when I get paid, right, I spend money. I pay my bills. I buy something that's going to make me more money, and then everything else, I blow flat out. Like, you know what I mean? But you know what I'm saying? Like, so was I talking to you? Was that a conversation we had in Dallas? So I pay my bills. I buy things that'll make me money. You know what I mean? Whatever's going to, I'm going to invest. And then whatever's left after that, you know what I'm saying? That's going to entertainment. That's going to dinners. That's going to whatever. Like, you know what I mean? But I feel like as long as I do it like that, it's like I'm good. Because I can always do like boom, 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 boom. Bills paid, investments done. You know what I'm saying? Now what we partying with? Yeah. You understand? So, but I like that strategy that you had because it sounds the same, right? Like it's like I make my A's and I put that here, which in return will get me this, right? And then I think I also said I also spend money with. I think the key is like buying things with your investment money and not the money you earned.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like don't buy the stuff you want with the money you earn. Buy it with the things you invested in that gave you a residual, and spend that,
bro.
Or things you want.
Listen, I told you I'm in Calabasas. That's what they do.
Yeah.
They don't spend working income to finance life. They finance their lifestyle with dividends, royalties, capital gains. Like it, what you teaching your kids, bro? That's the secret out here. You'd be like,
right.
How you in a role? How you in a phantom in the?
It scales. Yep, it scales.
It's
100%.
That's brilliant, bro.
So so Vic and Rob, 2 of the things that y'all said. So it's 2 of the things that I implemented. So, and based on where my daughter was when I did it. So Vic, to what Vic does, I used the carrot and a stick early on, right? Because she didn't know what she wanted to do. So I was just a carrot and stick. I gave her it was whatever, and she's just chasing it. But now that she has her purpose, she has her North Star. So now what I'm doing is I'm incentivizing. I call it putting the medicine in the candy. So to that point, so she doesn't have to go out and work. It's school is your job. So you're going to get all the money you need if you go and put in the grade. She talking about, I got a 4.1. Oh, I didn't even know you could get a 4.1. How you get it? So I'm like, oh, okay. So she's going to have everything she needs. But to Leifer's point about the whole jobs and the adversity, so I totally understand that. And what I wanted to do is I wanted to get that adversity with love. And I want somebody that loves her, that is going to pour into her, not somebody who's just trying to, they're just trying to make payroll. So that's the kind of the I guess the yin and the yang on how I'm going about it.
Prototype dad stuff right here, man. I hope this goes out. Like, y'all heard from all of us. Like, you got dudes from the hood, you got dudes single parent moms, teenage moms.
I think we're all single. Well, no, not all of us, but
look at us, man.
Yeah. We're trying to change. We're trying to change. I have two more questions, and this is, and one's dedicated to you, my guy. But I want to hit this question first, though, because I know this might be on all of our minds, right? And it's, how do we navigate our teens dating, the proms, the homecoming, the boys, how the girls, right? So how do we navigate those? How should those other kids present themselves to us when they're coming to, like, date our kids? You know what I mean? Taking out our kids. How do we navigate this whole process, man? And this is not the question I had for you, because there's one that you're gonna be like, I just said this, but I know you dealt with this a lot. You have older teens, like, we have younger teens, or we're right in the thick of it. So how do we navigate the dating scene? And you have 2 5-star kids. You know what I'm saying? Like, we already know what that come with.
So girls first, man. Whew, that was tough, bro. Because my daughter's the oldest. So I like who was it that said they started dating their daughter like when she was 4? Leaf? Yeah.
That was me.
Yeah. So I started mad young to set an example for what courtship and chivalry looked like. I mean, I'm opening doors. Oh, baby, you look beautiful. We holding hands. We going to get ice cream. I'm present. I ain't touch my phone. I'm not touching my phone. I'm locked in. At 11, 12, I buy her a promise ring. And I said, if we have the conversation about sex, Dad led that conversation. I was like, babe, you got to have a conversation. You're not, okay, you think it's taboo to have it because your mom didn't have it with you. Well, I'm about to have it because somebody got to have it. You know what I mean? Had a conversation about sex. Give her the promise ring, talk about chastity, saving it, until you get married, that whole spiel. I give her the game plan or the playbook for how to go about dating. You like somebody, gave her the whole game on guys, bring him back to me so I can see what's what. At first couple years, because she couldn't have a boyfriend until she was 16. It started in middle school. Like, can I have a boyfriend? Samantha has a boyfriend. Rebecca has. I don't care what they doing over there. All right. But so then she starts to rebel off, she goes left, not bringing them back to me, not giving. Then she goes through years of hell. She goes through years of the pain of not listening to the elders in the room. All right. To sum it up, then she comes back full circle. She's 23 now. She's 2 months pregnant. She's gonna be a mom. I'm gonna be a freaking granddad in June, man. At 41. All right. But the dude, grade A dude, man, treats her like she's a queen. And it's tough, fam. It's tough. So that the perspective with girls is, I agree. If you don't give them a little bit of rope, they are going to trust me. You might come home from work early one day, it's a nigga jumping out the window. You know what I mean? If I can say that, like it's that type of time. With the boys, gave them the game early. They want to get into, doing what dudes do. Look, man, make dream babies. So we had a dream baby conversation around 11, 12. All right. And then they watching, like, let's stay off the porn, man. That's not that's going to desensitize you. It's going to have you looking at women differently, and it's going to mess up your feeling and your sensation. We had a conversation. Ironically enough, me and my wife, or my wife and I, are the models for relationships. We've been together for so long, and so all of our kids are one woman man, and one man women. So Amani got a girlfriend. He good looking, 6'2.5", you know what I mean? Model, Calvin Klein looking dude. Aaron got a girlfriend, 5-star, he blue check on Instagram, can't tell him nothing no more. Like, he's somebody, think he's special. They locked in. I'd rather them be in love through this season and pray to God that they don't get anybody pregnant than to be out here sticking and moving like Dad was. You know what I'm saying? It's so they are. It's so bad that my wife was like, "This is too much. Like they're too much in love." I'm like, "Listen, trust me. You don't want him exercising all of his options."
Yep, beats the alternative.
Trust me. So
you already said it. Blue check, 5-star, 17 though.
17.
Southern SC though,
bro. And the girl,
nuts. Nah, nuts. What they say? What can you say about Cali? Women, weed, and weather, right?
I grew up in Pittsburgh, man. A Pittsburgh 10 is like a 5.
I mean, Pittsburgh, yeah. We're not,
no disrespect. I'm just saying it's crazy.
It is what it is.
No,
we don't talk
it's just honest.
It is what it is. So I don't know if anybody else want to chime in, but I got one.
Certainly.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, I've been needing to get this off. I've been going through anxiety and everything about this, man. It's been messing me up. That's why I've been upping up my bourbon bar, man, because it's been too much. So, I had a conversation with my daughter, you know what I mean? Because she kept prodding the same way that Rob's daughter was like, I want a boyfriend. I'm like, look, 16, we can have a conversation about it. You know what I mean? We could talk about it, Let's wait till you get 16. This is at 14. Keep coming back to the table. I'm like, look, I told you, when you turn 16, we can have a conversation about it, And then she was 15. I can't remember. Maybe she was 14. She was 14 still. And after I said, let's wait till 16, she decided to take things into her own hands. And she started doing stuff behind my back, which was like different for me because we always had a great relationship. And she always just, she talked to me about stuff. She opens up to me about stuff. And then, I don't know what happened, but one day I was just like, babe, get her phone, check her phone. And then we check our phone and we go through all the text messages, man. We find all this stuff in there. And I'm like, what happened to my little baby? What? Like, I'm losing it because I'm like, this is crazy. And I'm hearing, seeing all these references to boyfriend, my boyfriend. I'm like, what the heck is going on? What do you mean boyfriend? Like, yo, where's this boyfriend stuff coming from? We had a conversation. We had an understanding that you weren't to have a boyfriend until we had a conversation when you turned 16. You are about 14 and this stuff is going on. And, so I'm about to lose it. And needless to say, you know what I mean? Like it ended up being innocent. Like it's innocent. Like they're still, like I guess I like to call it a friend like. You know what I mean? The boyfriend, I still can't get that thing to come out my mouth too good without getting allergic reaction. But she has this guy friend. I mean, he's completely respectful. You know what I mean? He talks to me in a way that's respectful, and he treats her good. And I still don't like it. I'm still not comfortable with it. But we're in this space now where it's like I have to deal with it because it's not going anywhere. You know what I mean? And the more I push against it, the more she's gonna push forward in the background. So I'm like, all right, man, I just gotta figure this thing out because it's not going anywhere, and it's so difficult for me as a dad with a daughter who adores me, and and really cares about my opinion and respects my opinion, but it's also in a world with peers where everybody in her peer group has a girlfriend or a boyfriend, and she's not allowed to have a boyfriend. And it's just a real tough space to navigate. So right now, she's they're going on little, I call them hangouts because I can't call them dates yet. It's too much for me. But they hang out, go to movies and stuff like that, or she wants to go ice skating and things. And it's just one of those things where I just have to keep talking to her, keep having conversations with her, just so she feels open and she can feel like she could be honest with me and open with me, and not kind of hide that thing from me. Because it was like, I don't know, it might have been 3, 4, 5 months that they were quote unquote in a relationship where she was hiding it from me. And me and her mother, we sensed something, like there's something different, there's something going on with this child, and she's not telling us what's going on. We don't know if she's depressed, we don't know what's going on. And all in all, what was happening is she was lying, like that's not necessarily lying to us, but she was keeping stuff from us. So it was like building up in her, and it was causing all this anxiety and stuff, and we could see it. We just didn't know what was going on, and we kept trying to diagnose it. We kept it must be this, it must be that, it must be this. And then when she finally came out with it, it was like, oh, okay, that's what it is. I'm about to go kill somebody, but I had to step back and really like think about it, like, what I mean? It ain't this boy's fault. My daughter is extremely intelligent, so anything that happened is because she wanted it to happen. You know what I mean? Anything that went on is because she pursued it. So, at this point, it's just like trying to, figure out a positive space to be able to communicate with my daughter and teach her, what's good and what's bad and things to look out for. You know what I mean? Like if he starts acting like this, or if he start doing this, or if he does any of this, you know what I mean? You might want to question that and, move appropriately. But with her being so young and being in this impressionable stage, and everybody,
you sound like the guy best friend.
well, what I'm saying is because she's been in private school pretty much her whole life. She didn't come from public school, so it's a whole different spectrum for her. It's a whole different thing for her. Like they have a level of freedom that we had when we were young, but in a different way, like on a whole nother level. We talking about
because of the contact,
because we talking
interaction,
about $1 million mansions where parents are in Cabo somewhere and the kids are home by themselves throwing parties and doing all kinds of stuff. You know what I mean? So it's scary in a way because you know what I mean? Which one of those parties am I saying, okay, babe, I'm gonna give you some freedom, go to this party, and I'm not knowing that the parents are in another country. You know what I mean? So it's difficult to be able to navigate this space and be able to be like, you know what I mean? I want to give you freedom. I want to let you do what you want to do. But at the same time, I need to know what's going on and not be that, you know what I mean? That harsh dad that's like, you know what? I need to go there and chaperone or whatever, you know what I mean? Because I don't trust the situation. So it's a real delicate space, especially with a daughter, because, they're always going to try to manipulate that situation. Oh, you don't trust me. You know what I mean? So it's always a delicate space because you don't want to ruin that relationship. Because the moment you ruin the relationship, it's hard to get back, and she'll continue to lie and continue to hide stuff from you. So I don't want to be in that space. And I want to kind of, continue to hone on it to where she's coming to me with these questions like, okay, what should I do in this situation? Okay, I have this problem. I have that problem. And she's not afraid to come to me. So, that's something I'm dealing with right now. And I'm really.
Is Leak married? You married?
Huh? Yes.
You married? Yes. You're okay. The reason why I'm like reliving my whole situation with my oldest, right? And I realized something as you were speaking. Distinct and different from my boy's dream is number one. I could say my daughter's dream is number one too. Her dream, even when she was little, and again, my wife and I being her influencer, she always had this disposition that having a family, having a husband, and having kids is the pinnacle of what it means to be a woman. Think it not strange. So she start pursuing this life at 14. You know what I mean? And I just got it. It's like the influence that you all were and her identity for herself as a woman was inside of being a wife and having kids. So she's that's a priority over her career. And while your daughter's still young, I don't have the answers. I'm gonna pray on it. But if you can get her to see where her purpose or her whatever her vision is for herself outside of mom and wife, because my daughter's smart, like she's dumb smart. She going to school for radiology. She'd go to school radiology with a baby in her stomach at CSUN. And she's going to do it, and she's going to get A's. She's just about that life. But now you gotta worry about a baby. When you like get to the bag, get to your finish line first before you start adding mom and wife into the mix. And now it's kind of backwards. You know, she'll be a mom before she gets that degree. She'll probably be a wife around the same time. They're already talking about marriage. You know what I mean? He's 25, she's 23. But for you, bro, whatever, just take a look and see if her identity or her ideal expression as a young lady is to be a wife and a mom. And if so, bust that bubble. bust that bubble, man.
It for sure is a conversation. She always says that she wants to have a family and she wants to be a mom and she wants to be a wife and things like that. But she also wants to have a career. But I'm like, babe, your family goals don't match your life goals. So, you know, you got to get this in line, and you got to figure out, you know, what's the best space to do that? Because if you're trying to have a family first before your career, guess what? Your career not going to happen because it's always going to be something. So, you know, you need to make sure that, and I understand, you know, it's difficult more for women, you know, to start families later in life than men. I mean, we can kind of procreate all up into our 70s. You know, 80s, you know, as long as it's still working, it's still working, you know, and for women, it's not exactly the same. So, you know, that biological clock starts ticking and things like that. So I get all of that. But, you know, it is troublesome for me, you know what I mean? And worrisome for me when I hear her say, you know, and she's at 13 talking like, you know, I want to have a family and I want to be a mom and I want to, I'm like, where is this coming from?
Damn
like,
Disney, man.
You know, don't you just want to play soccer and watch Disney? Like, what the hell is going on?
Disney's
Like, this
part
is
of the
crazy.
problem.
But you know, but that's where we're at. So I'm just trying to, you know, hone that energy, you know, because she's a performing arts kid. So she really likes being in musicals and plays and things like that. But she's afraid that she's going to be a starving artist. So that's why she's afraid to really pursue that career as her main thing, because she doesn't want to be a starving artist. Similarly, with culinary arts, she loves it. I mean, anytime she's on her phone or she's on the computer, or she's on the TV, she's watching culinary shows, she's watching cooking shows, but she's afraid that she's going to be a starving artist, you know, not making a lot of money. And she likes the finer things in life because we freaking spoiled her. So, you know, that's the biggest issue right there, is being able to navigate that with her desire to be a mom and have a family, and being able to put these things into perspective to get her to move in the right direction. So, you know, I don't have the answers. I'm just trying to figure this stuff out and trying to push her in the right direction and get her. Like, you love performing arts. Why don't you do, like, I have a cousin who produces like plays and musicals on Broadway. Like, I literally have family and friends who do all this stuff on Broadway, off Broadway, all that in New York. And she has, you know, influences that she could tap into to get information so she can get ahead of the curve. And she's just like still so afraid. And I'm like, babe, this is you. Like, this is your happy space. Like, above anything else, whenever there's a play at her school, whenever there's anything, she wants to be involved. She wants to do it. So, you know, it just is what it is. I want her to be her best self, but I also don't want her to feel like I'm trying to control what she's doing. You know what I mean? I want her to be able to move the way she wants to move, but it's difficult, man. I am like, this is the most afraid I've been in my life. and she's turning 16, and I'm like, because I know what I was doing at 16, so I'm just hoping she breaks that.
Yo, is yo. So I just want to point out this is therapy for us all. Like week in week out, we look forward to it, and we get in here and like really let loose. This is generally an hour show, but you know what I mean. But sometimes we go over, and we get into it, and there's just no.
I'm
You know
not
how
sure
it
it's
goes.
ever been an hour. I'm pretty
It has
sure we
been
always
sometimes.
go over.
It has been sometimes we get deep, and it's just like we're in for the long haul. But you know what I'm saying. But I got one more question, and this is for bro specifically because he made a comment about this, man, and it just kind of sparked the interest. And it's one of the things that even made me reach out to him to be like, man, I need you a part of this, and we need to talk about it. Do we kick out our kids at 18?
So everything that I'm gonna say is, let me preface it by saying that this is my view, and this is my view based on my upbringings, based on my philosophy that I adopted, or not even adopted, but created over the years, and my relationship with my kids. So anybody listening, you might have a different kind of relationship with your kid where you can't wait to see that. You can't wait to see him or her go because they're bringing so much strife and stress to your domicile. They don't follow your rules. They don't follow your example. They're disrespectful. Like I don't. That's not my experience. Okay, and so I'm the king of my castle, and if there's a curfew, there is. That's what it is. If you break the curfew, then there's consequences to that, right? And so everybody knows what the rules are. They're very clear. And if your kid is ornery and disrespectful, as I just described, and no matter what, you can see yourself going to jail in your own house at the expense of y'all being a nuclear family, and for the sake of your peace. Because they know the expectations and they refuse to adhere to them. They doing whatever, smoking weed, whatever it is, having sex in the crib, whatever, leaving dishes on the sink, like, yo, and you've told them, like, listen, you got to go. I got a buddy who got kicked out of his mom's crib, his mom and dad's crib at 16. He's a multimillionaire right now. Was the best thing that happened to him. Started a clothing line selling t-shirts out of his trunk at Calabasas High School, got kicked out at 17, Asian dude. Multimillionaire right now, owns real estate, grocery stores. So you, in our minds, like, oh my God, it's the worst. Now he got kicked out in Calabasas. He didn't get kicked out in Robinson. You know, he didn't get kicked out in Homewood. He didn't get kicked out of East Hills. He didn't get kicked out in Northview Heights. Like he got kicked out in Calabasas. You feel me? So to me, you just got to use some wisdom and discernment. Like if I'm still in the trenches back at the crib, ain't no way I'm kicking my 18-year-old. Like I'm a break my foot off in your ass, but I'm not sending you out there to the wolves. Like I'm gonna beat the shit out of you. Like we going, I'm still the alpha in my house, and so like if I gotta break your nose just to let you know, like Pops is, that's tough love. People might be hearing like, oh my God, at 18, if you buck up against me as a man in my house, be ready to get your ass whooped. All right. And if we in the trenches, I'm not putting you out there in the streets. So my kids, here's the rule. You adhere to my rules in my house. You respect my house. You keep my house a place of peace. You can stay as long as you want until you get married. But there ain't no girlfriend and boyfriend. Ain't no playing house over here. Lexi's boyfriend can't come over and stay tonight. You know that. There's none of that happening. They 25. Still, yeah, ain't nobody shacking up in my house where I pay all the bills. In Calabasas? You kidding me? No, absolutely not. So that's where I'm at. It all depends on your situation. For me out here in Cali, kick your kids out of 18, they'll be under a bridge, more than likely. Unless they got some plugs or some friends. Like the cost is too, like you can't survive off of a regular job out here by yourself without 16 roommates. You know what I mean? So that's my answer to the question, bro. It depends, but for me, you can stay as long as you want, because one of the things that we did too early was to set our kids out on a path at 18 without the credit. So my kids got better credit than me. They've been piggybacking my joint for like 5 years. Put them on there. They don't have the card, but they got better credit than them. That's no cap. So at 18, you adhere to my rules, you can stay. I'd rather you leave my house into your own condo, my house into your own townhouse, my house into your own single family dwelling. And because if I prepared you and you shooting your shot like you can't fail because you already know you got a place to lay your head, they're gonna take more chances, take more risk along with their passions and desires. And so I'm here to support that, but it costs you adhering to my rules, and you got to know. My son's done puffed up a couple times, and I had to straighten them out. Real talk. They never puffed up again.
A little bit of straightening.
You know what I mean? Like, hey, don't let them little abs fool you. This is grown man strength. You know what I mean? It's all dad, you crazy. Yeah, like it's in my house.
Yeah, so obviously, man. So
ahead.
for me, man, this is all in theory, right? Because mine isn't old enough, but my take on it is that, man, my plan is for her to be under my covering until she's under her husband's, right? So, obviously that's, that could be, pie in the sky, but to Rob's point, man, she don't have to go nowhere. And I mean, that definitely wasn't the case. It was like, oh, I can't wait till you're 18 so you could go. Or maybe I was causing strife, or maybe I wasn't bringing peace to the house, but because I remember saying that, well, I can't wait till you turn 18. But because I went to school at 17 and never went back. So it's one of those things where, I mean, like, because of that, I feel that generationally, we was starting at zero every time. And I would like to not make that be a thing for my last name going forward. So that's my plan. Obviously, it's in theory at this point, but that's my plan, and I hope to be able to exercise it at some point.
Yeah, you know what? I communicate with my daughter all the time. She's a sophomore right now. She's starting to plan on college and things like that. And for me, I try to get her to stay here for the first 2 years for college, just because I feel like there's no rush for you to get out of here. Like, I'm not trying to rush you to push you out of the house. It may work better. I just think she's ready to get out. So, she wants to move out and have some level of freedom and to kind of be on her own, to prove to herself that she can make it. But for me, my kids they can stay here as long as they want to. You know what I mean? There's no financial issues. There's no problem where, we need them to go, and they're not extremely defiant. They're super respectful. I say my daughter is super respectful in most regards, other than this little guy friend. And you know what I mean, that she lied about for a course of months, and over 2 years prior to that, kept telling us she didn't like this guy. But it is what it is. But she's able, and she can stay here and go to school from here if she wants to. It's no problem. We would love her to be here, and she can start to build her own, build her own financial base to go out on her own. And that's really what I care about, is for her to be able to be financially sound. Because I feel like, okay, you're going away to college, yeah, you're learning, maybe you learn how to be on your own, but you're not learning anything financially, because we're still paying for college. We're paying for you to live. So it's still like you're living at home, but away from home. You know what I mean? We're still paying for your insurance, all of that stuff. So, to me, it doesn't even make sense. But I guess for you to be in that environment, it makes sense for her to kind of want to feel independent. So it is what it is. But my kids don't have to leave until they're ready to leave. You know what I mean? Like, we got enough space in the crib. We got enough land to build new cribs if we want to. You know what I mean? So it's all on what they're gonna do.
Man, don't act like that was a subtle flex. Get out of here with that, man.
It wasn't a flex at all. It's just like it wasn't a flex at all.
I'm not saying you did it on purpose. I'm just saying we need to drop a bomb for it though. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, we got some land that we bought. Some, you know what I mean.
Look, ain't building no more. They ain't gonna make no more.
You
Get
know
you
what
some
I mean?
land.
So you know what I mean. We can build new properties. We can build whatever we want for our kids. You know, and they can have some spaces to stay in, and they don't have to go right away. Now, if they choose to go, that's on their own. You know, that's on them. You know what I mean? But I'm not pushing nobody out the crib. You know what I mean? Because like I said, we talked about this in a myriad of podcast episodes where it's just like, you know, we watch other, you know, cultures, and they group together. It's all about group economics, figuring out how to make sure we're all financially sound before any one of us leaves. So it's like, why would you want to leave this before you built your own wealth base? You know, it doesn't even make sense, but, you know, I understand the world. That's how the world works. You watch social media and you watch, you know, all these videos, and everybody's just, they're ready to leave. They're ready to leave. It's just the McDonaldization of the world. Everything is so fast. You know, you need to have everything right now. You're not going to have everything right now. So, you know, my kids don't ever have to leave if they don't want to leave. But, you know, if they want to leave, hey, go ahead, do your thing, man. And, you know, we'll try to support in the background, but, you know, it just is what it is, man. I think it makes better sense to have them here going to school, building a wealth base before they leave, and maybe even having a suitor, like you were saying, man. Maybe even having somebody who wants to pour into them, you know what I mean, and wants to be with them, and then, you know, then you leave. Because I've had a lot of you know, Asian friends who lived with their parents until they got married. Like, you ain't leaving this house until you have somebody who's ready to take you off my hands. And, you know, not necessarily, I don't necessarily agree with it, but I don't disagree with it either. So, you know what I mean? It just is what it is. My kids are welcome all the time.
You got hit?
Yo, I got two parts, right? I'll do a piggyback. Then I got a question. I got a spin off on that, right? So, like you know, I think we're like the only culture that created that 18-30 rule. So after 18, you got 30 days to figure out what you're gonna do, or you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna do it for you. Like we I don't know where that came from, but that's something that we created within our culture. That I think that is, you know what I mean, it's unlike any other culture, because you look at everybody else, like Leaf said, they, you know what I mean, they allow their children to stay, develop with them, and grow, and so on and so on. So, you know, that's something we came up with. But I got a question, you know, based off of that. So if your child becomes 18 and they want to leave for certain freedoms, or they want to leave just to get from under you, is that an indicator that you failed in parenting?
Ooh. Depends.
Yeah. The crazy thing, you gonna hit that, Rob?
Go ahead, bro. No, I'm gonna hear what you got. Yeah.
I was just gonna say, man, the crazy thing is, like, I know this family, me and my family were real close to them, and I think they got a son that graduated from college, a daughter that's in college, I believe, and, you know, two younger kids. And the older kids, they're still there. They're in the household. And I'm like, dude must be the best. Like, they must be the best parents in the world. Because I've never seen kids want to just be there. Like, they are there. And he provides transport for them to work, from work, to places from, like, you're the best dude. You're the best parent in the world. Like, you're my role model. I'll never be that, but you're my role model. So I think, I don't necessarily think you're a bad parent, but I do think that maybe you were more of a tighter parent and they need more freedom. So they just want some space from you in that regard. But, you know, it's a difficult transition, especially if you know yourself, you know, because I'm always worried about my child ending up being me, you know what I mean? And I am a handful and a half. So I know what I was doing at their age and younger. So it's like, man, when I'm seeing them say stuff, I'm questioning it, and I'm looking through it through the guise of my experience and not through the stuff that they've been.
Don't be pointing at us like, don't point at us like that.
I'm gonna point because you know who I'm talking to. So you know what I mean? And that's always the thing. And, you know, she like said, I'm not you, and I'm like, I don't know that. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know that. You know, because that's probably the same thing I said to my parents at that time. I'm not you. I'm not gonna do the same thing. You know, my mom had my sister when she was 16, 17, you know what I mean? Like by the time she was 23, she didn't have 4 kids already. You know what I mean? They didn't know nothing back then. They was trying to figure it out on the fly. So you know what I mean? That's my thing. That's probably the same thing I told my parents is what she's telling me. And now I'm like, man, now I'm really worried. I'm like, I don't know what's going on here. And so it's just one of those things, man.
So Vic, ask a question. The question is, this question is a good question. So if your 18-year-old who does not have to leave chooses to exit your covering, like they want out, does that mean that you failed as a parent?
No, it's the prodigal son. Go ahead and get out there. You know what I'm saying? You know what? It's one of those things. Like I love you guys, right? And it's because we have this bond. Like I could lose it all. I could lose absolutely everything, and I know Mo Better, Leifer hit me. It's not gonna let me go homeless. You know what I'm saying? Like I could try everything I have and I could gamble and I could be wrong. And they could tell me I'm wrong in the process. Like, you know what I'm saying? And I could absolutely live it all. But I could take my whole family and go like crash at one of them and be like, we got you, bro. You know what I'm saying? And we're gonna go out here and get it again. I don't see why it would be any different for our children. Like, you know what I'm saying? I think we all have the same kind of thing and I think we all want our kids to go out there and be explorative. I don't know if that's a word, but you know I'm gonna say it. You know what I'm saying? So, so it's one of those things, man. And I support growth. Anybody that's gonna go out there and give it all to be the best they can and take a swing at it, man, all day. I got you. As long as I got it, you got it. You know what I mean? And I think that's kind of the thing. It's one of the core values that we all kind of function under. You know, if I got it, you got it. Go out there and give it your all. You know what I mean? And as long as we all out there giving it our all, you know, I'm a huge Reasonable Doubt fan. Like
Classic.
That album specifically though, it's packed with so many jewels. Like and it's like there was one line that was like, as long as we all got it, nobody will fall because everybody will be each other's crutches. It's you know what I'm saying. It's one of those things, man, and it's the same. It's the same for you know if our kids decide to go out there and like go get it. If you're going out there and attacking the world, I got you. Hey, go out there and fail. I got you. Come back. Go out there and fail again. You know what I mean? It's one of those things. I gotta support it. You know what I mean?
And that was exactly going to be my response, was the intent behind why they wanted to leave, not just to get away from me, but man, to take a shot. And I'm very risk adverse because I think based on the way I grew up, whereas I think, my daughter's going to be the total opposite, man. She has that golden parachute. She has that safety net to where like, go ahead, man, go. She's like, I'm going to shoot for the stars. Whereas I was like, man, I just want to make sure I'm comfortable. So yeah, man, it's all about the intent. So as long as she's trying to do something positive, I would imagine I put enough in her to where she can survive and to where she can live good. It's just about the intent on what she's shooting for, on why she wants to get from up under my covering. But what a whole nother person wants to do should never make you a failure. And that's just my take on it, man. That's her decision.
Right.
I don't know. We have some episodes that kind of go against that. What you just said, bro. You know what I'm saying? If your daughter hits that pole,
put that on the pole, and I do the pole stuff.
If your daughter hits that pole,
look, that's a whole different look. Look, like I said, man, that's a different level of problem.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like she shouldn't be leaving my house because she wants to go do that. You know what I mean? So, but like you said,
but listen,
that's a different show.
I really want to only keep y'all for an hour, man, and this might be our longest episode to date, man. And I think we just got deep. We just got deep. Rob, my bad. You know what I'm saying? That's generally not our thing. Like if you check back, we get it done. We can kind of get it done within a reasonable time. But we got 2 hours at this point, man. I just want to throw out Prototype Dad podcast.com is up. Go there. We have a nice cigar selection. Man, go check it out. We have a whiskey selection. We have a whiskey glass kind of kit. You know, it comes with the cubes that you can freeze and that doesn't dilute your whiskey. The cigars are fire. Those are provided by Cigar Society. A1 thing, A1 thing. We also got the energy chakra beads. You know what I mean? I don't know if who all wears them, but you know what I mean. I think it's a popular thing where we kind of we got the beads on deck. You know what I mean? So check it out. They're great gifts for dads. We all love them, and man, it was an awesome show. I'm gonna get into the summary. Some things,
Hey, before you go past that, man, what about the survival kit? That survival kit's hard.
The survival kit, I had to take it down.
Okay, that's hard. I like that.
I had to figure out a way we could get the survival kit back up. The shipping was taking longer than expected. You know what I mean? So some of those things kind of happen. But I can do something where I can get the survival kits in and then ship them from there. But the summary, I take notes during the show, and and I'm gonna let you guys expound, on them, whatever. So some of the things I take notes, right? So it's like had a conversation early. I think that was presented by the bro right here, Rob. One leafer kind of like stuck in. They are listening. Regardless of if you think they're not listening, what our jewels that we like be trying to slide in, it'll pop up out of their mouth down the line. You know what I mean? And it'll catch up like, oh, they was actually listening. So keep trying to slide in them jewels, even though we they act like we're bugging them. We're like, here you go with another speech, like you know what I'm saying. So keep plugging away at those jewels.
Yeah, add on to that. So I remember when they said it. Not only are they listening, they're watching.
Yeah.
That's the biggest part that I've learned, because I can say whatever, but if my actions aren't matching what I'm saying, she's like, oh, he's a hypocrite.
Hey, congrats to you though. You know what I'm saying? Because I ain't gonna go. I don't know if you want to talk about that. You know what I'm saying? But I think I addressed that with you before.
Yeah.
You have said so. I'm gonna let you present it whenever you're ready. But you know what I mean. Another thing, pull out the why. I guess that's our job to do that. That's a tough one. Like I ain't gonna lie, like that's a tough task to ask us because these kids are confused, and we take it as them being confused, but that's a tough one to take accountability for that. So it's like what you did, you took accountability off of us on one way and put it on us on another way. You know what I mean? Yeah. And both were tough.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like taking accountability off of getting them to do the right thing and putting it on pull out why their purpose.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's a mental. I think we're all gonna have to sleep on that one. Like, you know what I'm saying? That's a tough one.
Yo, but I think you're using the terminology confused. I would say they're more distracted because I believe they came in with the purpose, but it just gets lost in all the different things, all the different distractions, all the things that they got going on around them. You know what I mean? And that's why a lot of times they second guess it. You think they trying different things, but they're just trying to refine, you know what I'm saying, what they already had. So I don't think it's confused, man. I think it's, you know what I mean? It's they're just distracted from the purpose.
I'm not going to disagree with that.
And so hit spot, like hit, man. Yo, my fucking guy. Like here's the formula. And I want to be responsible for a concept that I put in this space to give y'all some tools so that you can use them to navigate this thing called being a dad. Where do you start? How am I responsible for that? On the continent, the elders would actually name the kids as a tradition because they knew who they were. You know what I mean? In Black Panther, the mom says, show to this world as they are. And the name was aligned with their purpose. The name itself was aligned with their purpose. We forgot we don't have the tradition no more, man. Thank you, transatlantic slavery, for nothing. You know what I mean? For absolutely nothing. But here's a tip. It's easy. Get you a sheet of paper. Do this with your kids. All y'all do this with y'all kids. Get y'all a sheet of paper, fold it in two. Like so, half. Boom, boom. You got 3 columns, right? First column, talents. These are your gifts. These are the things that you do that come easy to you, that come natural to you, because therein your gifts give way or give rise to your medicine. And your medicine is aligned with your purpose. Here's the other column. Column number 2 is the passion. So when you take your God-given, ancestor-given, bloodline, DNA, your gifts, your talents, you pair that with the things that make you feel most alive, aka passions, you begin to see, oh snap. If I look at column 1 and column 2, I can create column 3 based on expressions that I know are aligned with 1 and 2.
Wait, what's column 3?
Expressions. Could be teacher, preacher,
So
football
can
player.
I ask you a favor?
Yeah.
And I think this could be, I don't know if you ever done this.
Yep.
Can you put together like a spreadsheet with these 3 columns?
Yep.
Or what? I don't know how many more columns you're gonna set.
Yeah, that's
right.
it. That's
so
it.
It's just 3. Okay,
Yeah.
okay. But can you put together? So we have a blog on the website, and on the blog we'll say recipes that we've talked about. We had a fashion show. We had a fashion episode. And we could talk about tips. You know what I mean? I think this will be a key to this episode where whoever comes to the website could kind of like download this and sit down with their kids and implement. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah,
you see where I'm going? So just a Google spreadsheet, you know what I mean? And just share it with me. And I think it'll be an exercise that we can all practice, man. And I'm loving this idea of pulling out the why, right? Because I think it's a concept that we never even discussed. I don't think it is. This is not something we ever discussed. And I'm glad you're taking accountability for putting the idea and kind of formatting
like how.
The how.
Thank you for the idea. What do I do with it now, dude?
Like, right.
Get off the podcast. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I don't want to interrupt, but keep explaining unless if you're done, you're done. But keep going.
Because ultimately, here's the thing that I had to realize. There's no other reason for me being here outside of that. And every time I deviate from that, my life doesn't work. There is no peace. There is no peace that surpasses understanding. There is no happiness. The money ain't flowing like it's supposed to. The funny thing is when you actually look at your medicine, so I call talents, I use the terminology medicine, because I've been given these gifts to give to the world. And one of my gifts is wisdom and exhortation. Like it's happening right now. And you provided a space, you all provided a space for me to be who I am. This is who I came into the world as. I thought I had to go get my master's in divinity to become a preacher. That's who I am. It's not like I got to go you don't have to go get a certificate to be who you are. You don't even need a degree to be who you are. Now man's laws may say you need to, hey, you're going to be a doctor. You're going to be doing, can't be doing lobotomies without, you know what I mean? There's man laws, right? But spiritually, that's just the process you got to walk through to get the paper so that you can practice being who you are and not get arrested. You know what I mean? So you're subject to those. So I want to say, I want people to get outside of the why. We lost, bro. And so much so as men that as a man, if you understand this, when you're choosing a mate, not because she bad, not because she 5'7" with the, you know what I mean, with the small waist and the fatty, like whatever it is that drew you to her, it's that I know who I am and why I'm here. I need to select me a mate or to help me meet my destiny. Like, if you, I don't care. Like, if you don't meet, if I don't see you as my mitochondrial Eve, because the type of time that I'm on and my mission and vision, you can't support that. Like, if you can't be what Michelle was to Barack, because she understood the assignment. And she understood who her husband was, and she understood who she was. And she said, look, I'm smart. I'm wicked smart. I'm Ivy League smart too. I can be Whose wife is a lawyer? Oh, I can have my own practice. I could be a partner. I could do all that too. But she surrendered to her purpose. And if she doesn't, we don't get 45 or 44. We don't get him. Not looking like us. We don't. It never happens. He chooses a woman who puts herself before, whose purpose is not to support his purpose. He's unequally yoked for my church people. That's what it means to be unequally yoked. This ain't about, do you love the Lord? Do you love the Lord? Oh, we both love the Lord. We equally yoked. Nah. If you're not the match to my mission, to help undergird and guard my integrity, protect me from myself, protect me from the world out there, keep me on the straight and narrow, hold me accountable, support me. And of course, it's a reciprocal relationship, because I'm gonna be a king. I'm a king up for, like, I'm gonna be a king to my queen. I am being a king to my queen. So she gives without thought, not like, oh, what about me? Because of who I'm being for her. If that ain't what that type of time we on, we not like, what are we doing? So as a kid and as an individual, get that why out of them, because Aaron's going to not do some things because of Hall of Fame. I ain't even going to be there. He going to be on the other side of the country. He going to be like, nah,
you're right.
That ain't consistent with Hall of Fame.
Right.
I don't know what the hell y'all doing.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying?
Why?
The why, like that's what kept me shielded in the mud. I think
it protects us all. I think we could all attest to that.
Hey, that's not Hall of Fame, man.
Gold jacket. That's what you said to yourself, right?
Yep.
That ain't gold. That ain't gold jacket. That ain't gold jacket.
No, that's facts.
You know what I'm saying? It's not consistent. So when you anchor in your purpose, any action, choice, distraction, as Hit said, you realize, yo, this is incongruent. So either I'm a phony, either who I said I am, I'm really not that, or I really don't believe it's possible if I'm taking paths that don't lead me to that. It's real simple. That's why I don't have to be a dictator. And that may occur for some people as Will Smithy, but I'm an existential dude. I don't own them. I think my 10-year-old is older than me. She got more wisdom. There's no justifiable reason that my 10-year-old knows the things that she knows. So I also believe in life paths. We're getting deep. Multiple life paths.
We getting deep.
I'll stop there. Yeah, I'm stop.
Pull up the why. Pull up the why. So to my last point. This is another point, and I'm gonna let everybody take a turn on a spin, right? I like when you said this, man. We are the elders. We had an episode called Generational Smoke. And yeah, you can see. Check it out. You can see where it went, man. We had some baby boomers, some Gen Xers on the line, man, and we kind of like all had the conversation, man. And it was a healing, but it was also like it was just a healing, flat out. Like it was them saying we messed up, and us saying we got it from here, basically. You know what I mean? Like it was kind of one of those things. It was kind of like, Daddy, why wasn't you with me? As far as I from my perspective, I mean, Mo might say something different. Leifer might say something to him, but from my perspective, it was like, Daddy, why you leave me hanging? It's cool. I just needed an explanation. We got it from here. I don't know how anybody else would kind of wrap that episode up, but that's how I would wrap it up. And to put elders on the millennials like you just did. You know what I'm saying? I know you barely won. You know what I'm saying? But to put elders on the millennials at this point,
yeah,
I think you're laying out these accountability pieces, man.
Yeah.
In a different way, though.
Yeah, definitely. We are elders, man. It was a hard pill to swallow. Like, yo, I'm still young. Dude, you about to be a granddad. You really an elder.
My granddad don't kick until I'm 50, so I'm gonna let you have that. But
you know what I'm saying?
But if anybody else got anything they want to leave in the summary.
Yo, Yeah, I just want to first shout out my man Rod. You had mentioned Broadhead, man. I stayed in Westgate, so you know what I'm
Oh,
saying,
yeah.
Westgate Village, man. So you know what I mean. You made it out,
Sure.
man. I'm happy to see you made it out, son. You know what I'm saying.
No
It's a
doubt. Them
beautiful, it's a
trenches,
beautiful
bro.
thing, man.
Yeah.
But I think, man, to your point, man, there's a few gems I was dropped, man. You know what I mean. I think there's a lot of things I talked about. Like I always learn something every time I do this. You know what I'm saying? I think that's a beautiful thing. I hope everybody get as much as I got out of it. Uh, but definitely, yo, I think we got to dive back in our whys, man. I think that wise, man. That's a lot, man. That's prototype dad stuff right there, man. Like, you know what I mean? That's the blueprint, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? That's the architectural structure. Like, yo, like if you can crack that code, son, that's a lot, man. That changes the game, B. You know what I'm saying? So I think man, that was a gem, man. The definitely was dropped, man. I appreciate all you guys always, man. It was 2 hours. It ain't seemed like 2 hours though. You know what I'm saying? Because it was a lot of facts being dropped, man. So yo, y'all keep pushing, man. Great, I say, man, great show.
Everybody else, Leaf, you got last words?
Nah, I hit everything, man. I ain't gonna hold us up no longer. So you know what I mean. You know, I could talk until the goddamn cast is dropped. So I ain't gonna get into it. Especially that you know the lick hit. So I ain't gonna do it.
Hey, my man, we ain't gonna go into it. Mo, you got something to say?
Yeah, so one of the last things, man, and actually it kind of came from what Hit Me just said, man, because I actually was good, man. I didn't have anything. But as far as like investing in ourselves and stuff like that, man, in order to be a prototype dad, man, we got to be a prototype man first. So that was the biggest thing that I've captured from this, man. I want to pour into myself and make sure I reconnect, and I definitely I'm pursuing my why. So I can help pour into my daughter and make sure that she can, find hers and continue on that path. But that was the biggest thing that I just kind of got out of it, man. Out of all the gems, there was a whole bunch of good points on that. But that last thing that Hit Me just said, man, it resonated with me big time.
All right, man. That wraps up another Tuesday. Hey, bro, thanks for coming on, man. You were a gem to this episode, man, and we welcome you back anytime. I'll let you know any show we have, and man.
Peace
But
and love, guys.
it's a Tuesday, and it's another prototype dad.